In this video, I'm going to teach all you athletes how to handle a tough coach. At some point in every athlete's career, they're going to find themselves with a coach that is challenging for them to handle. This could be due to a coach's personality that is very different than that of the athlete. It could be due to a coach that is more demanding than the athlete is used to, or just in general, a coach that doesn't communicate or give feedback as much as the athlete has had in the past. The one thing that I want any athlete or parent watching this to remember is that odds are this isn't going to be the last person of authority that this athlete struggles with. Odds are they're going to have another tough coach down the road, and down the road even further, maybe another tough professor or even teacher. And odds are that at some point in their life, this individual is going to have a tough boss. So I want to approach this conversation with you from the standpoint of when you run into a tough coach as an athlete, that you learn how to handle not only this individual, but all future individuals as well, so that they don't negatively impact your mindset or your performance. So in this video, I'm going to give you 3 keys on how to handle tough coaches that's worked for every single athlete that's ever been a client of mine. Now I'm going to get to those 3 keys in just a second, but I have a free gift for you today for stopping by the channel. If you're an athlete who could really use a boost in your mental performance, I want you to get over to trainwithperk.com/free guide. What you're going to find there is 3 easy to install steps that's absolutely going to help you better mentally prepare for your next big moment. Again, that's trainwithperk.com/free guide. I'll start with the single most powerful mindset shift that any athlete can make in any difficult situation that they come across. Control what you can. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I see athletes make when they find themselves in a situation with a tough coach is they immediately let their mind focus on things like, what is my coach going to think of me? Will he take away my playing time? When am I going to get my next opportunity? Does he like my teammate more than me? The unfortunate truth is that absolutely none of that is within your control. And if you continue to allow your mind to focus on all that nonsense that's outside of your control, what is your mind no longer focused on? What you actually need to be doing. Now, this becomes a real issue because you're essentially allowing something outside of your control to have control over you, and specifically the actions that you take, especially those mental actions, like how are you choosing to think about the situation. So my advice to you would be to refocus on the things that are actually in your control. Things like how you choose to think about the situation, how you choose to prepare, how you choose to handle mistakes, and how you choose to give effort each and every day. Choosing to focus on those things will ensure that your mindset isn't negatively impacted and that your performance does not decline. All right, the next key is probably the most difficult for many athletes, and that is to be willing to communicate openly with their coach. One of the common themes that I see with many athletes, especially when they express to me that they're struggling with a tough coach, is that I'll then ask them, have you talked to the coach about it? And they will look at me like I have 3 heads, like what I said is completely absurd. The inconvenient reality, though, is that if you're an athlete struggling with a difficult coach, but you are unwilling to even have a conversation with them about the situation, it's highly unlikely that you're going to find any sort of resolution to your struggles. Now, the biggest mistake that I see here, especially with young athletes, is that when a young athlete goes into a meeting with a coach, obviously there's a parent present, but it's that parent that ends up doing all the talking. If there is one skill that every single athlete and really young person needs to be able to develop, it's learning how to communicate with a person who has a position of authority over you. And you need to learn how to do this in a really productive way, because this isn't just a sports skill, this is also a huge life skill. So here are a few pointers to help you when you approach these conversations. I want you to focus on 3 things: kindness, respect, and keeping an open mind. Now, that last one of keeping an open mind is really challenging for many athletes, because many athletes go into those conversations really defensive and really closed off. And they do this many times because they've already convinced themselves of something like how the coach thinks about them, before the meeting even starts. Now, you as the athlete, you need to be able to recognize that defensiveness and all those preconceived notions before you go into that meeting. Otherwise, it's going to be very challenging for you to walk away with anything productive from that conversation. All right, so once you get that conversation, that leads us to key number 3, tell your coach what you need. Yes, I know this is a wild concept for many athletes, but the truth is that you are in fact allowed to communicate with your coach what you need to help make you better. Now, if this is the fact that you respond better to praise as opposed to criticism, tell them. If it's the other way around, tell them that too. If you need more feedback from them, tell them. And if you need to know what you need to be able to do to get more playing time or opportunities, tell them. Now listen, your coach may not change, but again, that is outside of your control. And honestly, most will. Most coaches actually want to know how they can help you. And to be honest, they've probably been trying to figure that out themselves. In fact, I think it would come as a surprise to you is that many times I hear coaches talk about an athlete that's struggling, and the coaches oftentimes say, I wish they would just tell me what they need. Go figure. Now, the thing that you really need to understand as an athlete is that if you're not willing to speak up and communicate with them what you need, well, then honestly, you really have no reason to expect the coach to adjust. All right, if you enjoyed that video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. And if you haven't already, make sure that you get over there, trainwithperk.com/free guide, get that 100% free guide. It's really gonna help. I'll see you next week.